So, with the amount of people here, apparently a lot of people like toys. Which, hey, I'm a professional hacker. I have to admit, toys are a lot of fun. I'm still a child at heart. Hacker's Paradise, the latest toys. Just before we get started, has anyone ever heard of, I don't know, the Flipper Zero? It's been in the news recently. It's a very hot, I can't even speak English today. Controversial topic. Have you guys ever heard of it? Or anything similar? Raspberry Pis are quite similar as well. A lot of toys we call them. They call them tools. I'll call them a toy. That's kind of what we want to talk about today. The Hacker's Paradise, or a playground as it's called. You know, a playground can be for anyone a different thing. A mechanic, it can be behind a car. It can be fixing the machine. A gardener, I'm not a gardener, it can be in the garden fixing or planting roses, working on a tree, whatever. And for hackers, it is usually behind a screen. Well, we're talking about toys today. Not a digital toy, but we're talking about physical toys. And for me, since I really enjoy social engineering and penetration testing, we wanted to talk about some of the physical toys that we use when conducting pen tests. I want to quickly introduce my friend and colleague, Peter. He is a professional pen tester and certified ethical hacker who works at UnistarPro.
Thank you. And this is my American friend and colleague, Raj. And he's also a professional pen tester, ethical hacker, creator of OSPDB database. So if you need to check any malware or some file contains malware, you can upload it on OSPDB and check if there's already some signature that would resemble or make something that would show us malware. And he's also CA certified. So let's start with wireless. As said, hackers have lots of toys, and there are several also for wireless. We use it, you use it, we have it, it's here. On top left is Wi-Fi Pineapple, which is a hacker's toy, which is mainly made to mimic legitimate Wi-Fi, and then hacker uses social engineering or just plain acknowledgement of victims to convince them to connect to what they believe is a legitimate Wi-Fi, but they actually connect to his Wi-Fi. This allows him to capture the data, sniff packets, and possibly even modify them on the go. If you want to go full send, you can make Wi-Fi cacti. This is actually just a bunch of Wi-Fi pineapples, but it allows the creator to scan all frequencies of the Wi-Fi all the time. You know that Wi-Fi has different channels, and you can only be on one channel at once. But not with Cactus. On the other side, we have Hacker F1, which is another great toy, which is primarily used to sniff signals. RFID signal, NFC signal, remote controls for cars, garage openers, and such. And hackers can use it to scan the signal around them, and then recreate it, replay it, or in case of rolling codes, if you're familiar with remotes, each remote, every time you use it, it's a different code. You can use Hacker F1 to use a rolljack attack, which blocks one try to open the car. And what do you do if you can't open a car once you press the button? You press it again. And it means that this device then uses the first signal that it recorded to open the car. And a normal user thinks, great, now it's working. But a hacker has a second rolling code that he can use at any point of given time before the next one is being used. But let's talk more about laptops. Executive laptops in particular is in here. On top left, Apple MacBook Pro 2. Top right, Asus ZenBook 2 Pro. And bottom left, Lenovo Yoga 9i. Just some examples of laptops. And what do they have all in common? They're all thin. It's great to be good to look at, to have, nice to have, easy to carry on your back. But being thin means you don't have much space for inputs and outputs. That means they have to make a compromise. As seen in these examples, you only have one USB Type A port.
Wait, one?
Yeah, just one. Why? You need more?
Yeah.
Well,
I
there's a solution for
I
that.
right now have more. Wait, what?
Yeah, if we had more, I would use pointer, but there's a solution.
Right,
We have adapters. If you need another USB Type A port and don't need a Type C port, you can just buy official Apple USB Type C to USB Type A port adapter for just €34.
Pretty well, man. That's too much. That's too much, man. Look at that one over there. It's the Go adapter. Look at all the ports it has. What is that price range, man? You know me. I'm American. I'm cheap.
Ports. Well,
I need.
there's an alternative. You can go on eBay, buy cheaper, new one, and it's the same functionality, but for less price. Or go on AliExpress. I'm sure you've all heard of it. Most probably also bought on it. And it gives you even more variety and it offers you functionalities that official adapters don't. Or, like knowing you, just save more money in power. Use public Wi-Fi.
Yeah. You're a hacker. You should know this. The space that we hackers roll in, it's never a good idea to borrow things. Especially not from a hacker. It's a security standpoint. Didn't you just recently read the tweet from the FBI where they're like, hey, be careful where you connect your phone to charge. Juice jacking attack, where they can use public infrastructure like that to public infrastructure, malicious, of course, but they can gain access to your files and install malware. I mean, it's definitely got to make you think. Using someone else's device is probably not a smart idea, right? Especially not a USB.
But how did they do it?
Oh, well, this is where we get to the toys part. Well, what we're going to show is nothing revolutionary. It's just fun. It's a lot of fun. We use, often, when conducting pen tests, we'll use gadgets like the rubber ducky or the bash bunny. These are, actually I have, where did I put it? Don't mind me, I forgot where I put it. There it is. A rubber ducky looks just like a normal USB. Looks can be deceiving. Hackers will use any sort of technique they can, especially in social engineering. We'll do anything we can to attempt to trick a user to installing something or downloading a malicious file or plugging in a USB. And these gadgets are a lot of fun to use. And here, I'll show you.
Please do.
We have an example with us. As soon as I log in. Now, imagine we're at our client's headquarters. They want us to test the security, but they don't just want us to test firewall logs or to go through firewall logs and see how someone can get in. They don't want us to just test web application. They want to know their physical security and can we gain access to their internal documents by just social engineering and just walking around, by being there. Well, that's where a gadget like this will come in handy. The rubber ducky. Now, the left is our client, the right is us. The right side is listening for any sort of communication, and the left, if everything goes right, will be communicating. Now, this USB,
USB superposition.
yeah, the USB superposition, third time's the charm, right?
Yes.
There we go.
Apparently not.
Apparently not even that, yeah. There we go. Now, malicious hardware like this can simulate, in our case, a keystrokes. So it can type instead of us. Now, I definitely cannot type that fast, but in our case, we installed on this USB, we set up a payload that allows the person on the right, so the malicious attacker, to listen and wait for a command from the left side. Now, the way we set it up was, if you saw something like this on a computer, I sure hope someone would be, one, confused, and two, scared that something might be going wrong. You usually shouldn't see something like that on your screen. And we did this for the demonstration, to just show how fast something like this can be done. And in the time of me talking, I would have been done 3 times. We have now a access to the machine on the left. And for fun, let's see what can we get.
Hey, secrets. Can you read it?
Let me try. Yeah, I can. The Wi-Fi is a lie. Using a simple attack like this, just very cheap, stealthy, and easy to use hardware, we can gain access to the Wi-Fi's file, or your secrets, or just gain access to a machine in general. Not revolutionary technology, but it's a lot of fun to use, and it is very useful when conducting physical pen tests. Now, these little devices can be hidden anywhere. We'll buy up 10, 20, 30, however many we need, either this or even just a normal USB. We'll put a malicious piece of code on it and just wait for the attacker to, or wait for we'll litter them around, I don't know, around the company, or we'll go around just placing them on people's desks and see how many people will actually fall victim and plug it into the machine.
That's all good, but our company has a policy that prevents us from plugging in USBs that we do not know the owner of. So now we're safe, right?
Well,
Right?
yeah, no.
Why not?
Against USBs, maybe. Have you ever stopped to think about cables?
What about cable?
Well, don't you use cables often?
Barely.
And, well, there we go. Have you ever thought, what can a cable do? That
Yeah,
maybe-
charge your phone.
Well, yeah, that's also true, as I'm doing right now. You guys can see, I have this cable connected. This cable is the upgraded version of this little USB. And trust me, it is a lot of fun. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly show it. It's going to do the exact same thing as this, and then we'll go through what it actually is. So I'm just going to remote execute a piece of software from my phone, and it should, if everything goes correct, do the exact same thing as the previous one did. Now, this cable, as you guys probably just saw, it was charging my phone, so yes, it is useful for that. But two, it is a malicious device. Not only can I execute code, I can now do it remotely. I don't need physical access to your computer. I don't need to be the one walking around. I just buy up multiple, these are called OMG cables. I just buy up multiple cables like this and walk around the company, leave them around, and when there's one plugged in, it will signal to my device saying, hey, victim, go ahead and execute the code. And I can execute and remote control your computer from my phone. These are a lot of fun to use, and in practice, we've been using, well, recently, more and more. A lot of people don't know that you can execute stuff, especially like this, via just a simple and stealthy toy.
Do you have any rules in your policies about cables? Does anyone have?
That I actually want to know. Does anyone?
Might be a time to rethink,
Yeah.
recheck the policy.
What would you do in this case? What would you, as a hacker, do about something this simple? What can we do?
Well, we can use protection.
Well, that's one form of protection.
Well, I was thinking about this adapter.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
data transfer blocker. So usually, if you need to just charge your phone, you don't need it to send data, right? You might need it for quick charge, but if you want to be safe, you don't need to send data. And if you use special adapters that prevent data transfer, the device can be affected through Type-C. This OMG cable is Type-C, Type-C, and can infect any Android device. Because or Apple, yes, thank you.
Hackers don't discriminate.
Or plan to reverse shell on your cell phone. So what do you have on your phone that would be valuable?
Who here
Photos,
uses phones?
numbers.
That's a good question to start with, probably.
Yeah. So what do you have on phones? Photos, numbers, work mail, mobile banking.
I'm going for that.
So if a hacker gets access to your phone, they can log into your bank. They can log into your email, your work mail, your social accounts. If you have two-factor authentication, good for you. But in this case, hacker already has access to your phone. So they can bypass that too.
Potentially, yes.
Yes. So, again, use protection. On laptops, if you have a model laptop that uses Type-C to charge, again, transfer data blocker. Using a condom would probably be very efficient in terms of protection, but you'd go so far that you would have no functionality left. So it's ill-advised. But you can also prevent human interface devices, such as keyboards, to be plug and play. Usually, according to my knowledge, employees don't change keyboards daily or weekly. That means that they don't have to be set so that when you plug in a new keyboard, it just works. Have a group policy preventing that. As said, most of these devices work as a keyboard. So if you cannot add another keyboard, you are very likely to make these devices worthless. Or lock screens if you're not using your laptops, if you're not at your laptops. You can try to text whatever you want on your laptop on a locked screen, and you'll see that you can't start program, you can't type a Word document. Neither can this device work with a locked screen.
So, in other words, what you're saying is, one, use protection, but also avoid using public stuff if possible. Previously, you mentioned with the Wi-Fi. Is anyone here connected to the Wi-Fi? No, probably a smart idea. Yes? Okay, thank goodness, at least to my knowledge, there aren't any hackers on, but at the same time, we're at a hackers convention. Well, this would be a prime time where hackers and malicious, not us, okay? Where's my boss? Yeah, not us. Where a malicious attacker can listen in on what you're doing. So, avoid using public stuff. Don't just borrow anyone's cable. Don't just borrow, especially a USB or whatever. Be very careful of what you plug into personal and work-related devices. Also, this one in my case, buy official from official. It is more expensive, usually, but it also lessens the risk of falling victim to a simple and inexpensive attack like this.
So it might be more expensive, but also cheaper on the long run.
Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
Where do you buy?
Actually, sorry.
If we have dozens of that in our network right now, what's the best way to detect them, by your opinion?
There is an adapter, OMG cable checker, that you can order.
Here, if you want to take a look at it.
No, I saw it, but
Okay, you don't even touch it?
For this particular one, for the OMG cable, there is an adapter checker that will inform you if it is OMG cable or not.
or we should check maybe for reverse shell, or how do they communicate?
That's after it's already too late, yes.
Ah, okay.
So in that case, that's where firewalls will come in handy, intrusion detection and prevention systems. So this is where we wanted to go as simple as possible for this, and we wanted to go down to the toys that we use to execute stuff like this. To prevent stuff like this, as he said, there are very simple and rudimentary other tools that can be used to detect stuff like this. Has anyone ever heard of the, what is it called, USB killer?
Yep.
Basically a whole bunch of condensers that would get the power and then send it all through at once, frying the computer. Well, they then made a simple female to male A plug that had a light on it, and if too much power went through, it would light up and or even fry the lights, preventing your computer from getting, on fire. There are some similar tools like this that can detect, and they're relatively cheap as well. That you can, if it's a USB, plug it in and see what can happen. Or even the best option, if you can, have it just a throwaway laptop that is not too important. Plug it into there, make sure it's not connected to the network, and just see if something goes wrong. There was a question back there somewhere.
How can you program this cable?
Can you program a rubber ducky?
No, but I heard about it.
It's in code.
Yeah, okay.
It's the same code, and you know what,
okay.
why not? I'll just quickly show it. We have time? We have time.
We do.
We have time.
But antivirus software do not detect that there is something strange.
Antivirus software, in most cases, won't detect a keyboard. And this thing, in our case,
I understand this is keyboard, but yeah.
Yes, it did not, we only made it simulate a keyboard. It didn't detect the physical hardware itself. It can detect the payload that was executed by it. That is something different then. The tool itself that was used to inject that malware, in our testing, it has, out of I don't know how many tests, it has not detected a single time.
Okay.
But that's
You
a
were
lot.
pretending as some of known vendors of keyboards, so
You can
it's
be
nothing
that or
suspicious there.
if you were here the previous presentation,
Yeah.
our Carbosec had a live demo with their obfuscator that they used to hide
Yes.
basic reverse shell from Metasploit, and they obfuscated it in a way that there was not one visible detection on virus total. So this is a delivery method, but what you deliver, it's currently up to you.
But I think payload is not detected by. It's nothing wrong with driver because it's a standard driver, but payload it's hardware based, so you can detect this by software.
You're gonna have to
It's
detect
as someone
the result
sit
of the
at
payload.
the keyboard and write down this code.
That's where you need
Yeah.
that's where you need the software to be able to detect the result of the payload or the payload itself. When we did this on a work environment, it would detect the payload fine. It would stop it. I'm probably not going to mention which AV we use, but it would detect the payload after it would get executed, and it would block it right then and there. It would send an alert, which is good. It wouldn't detect the hardware though. And again, we're only here to show the delivery method of this malware. You asked previously about the programming. It's just this. Surprisingly, they were able to fit a Wi-Fi dongle inside of that, the Type C. I would understand Type A, but dang, this is a Type C. And you just plug it in, wait a second, you get wireless access on your phone, you connect to it, open up the interface, boom, that's it. It's just a very, very simple, it's not even obfuscated code. Just a very simple payload that allows us to get reverse
What
shell.
is this PowerShell?
Yes, very simple.
Yes.
It works the same as a rubber ducky. We had on a previous slide, we had the Bash Bunny, that is the slightly more advanced version of this, which offers additional functionality, but these two are the fun ones. Any other question?
You can use it as a keylogger as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One fun thing with this, so the way this OMG cable works is one side is malicious, the other side is pass-through. So I was charging my phone fine, and it was not infecting my computer until I triggered it. But one thing we can do is, let's say we have a keyboard that charges via Type C. Well, I can plug it in on there, and on the other side in the computer, and then wirelessly monitor on the keylog system. Wirelessly monitor. We weren't able to get this demo up and working in time, but we can wirelessly monitor what you're clicking.
It's not a hardware keylogger for other keyboards, but if you have a USB connected keyboard, you can use this cable to then keylog it.
Any other question?
It works on all operating systems.
Yeah.
In future releases, it's supposed to be able to recognize what operating system it is plugged into and adapt its payload for a suitable one. So we can have one cable and payloads for Android, Apple, when they actually get to Type C, and Windows and Linux.
How can you know that you're buying the right one? I mean, you can buy with preloaded stuff. So you think that you're going to own someone, but already someone owned you.
Well, us said, buy official from official. That's
From AliExpress.
yes, exactly, perfect.
Yeah. We just chose the Type C and Type C. This port, malicious port, can be any port we want. In my case, we bought the specific code for CMC because we were like, hey, this is a modern one, more people are using this one. And it also works with the C to Lightning. Thank you all for listening.